Thank you all so very much for joining us this evening. The time is 7:02, and I'd like to officially call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Simmons.
Present.
Nelson.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Blackman. Paredes.
Here.
Huckabee. Here. Ford.
Present, and we are all present actually in the forum. So we're going to move the agenda items around just slightly. The second item on the agenda is recognition of our board member, Mr. John Simmons. Before we do that, I'm going to open up for public comment now, and I see Ms. Christine Marks.
It won't all part of the movement, guys.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Simmons. I'm here tonight to commend John Simmons on 12 years of distinguished service with Baltimore School District 161. If I remember the story correctly, you and some buddies, all newly settling into the neighborhood with probably very young families, got to talking one night, maybe over brown liquids and some good smokes, and started wondering what you could contribute to these new communities where you were living, how your towns could benefit them. And so you each started to pick a spot where you thought you might fit. And service was a great fit. Thank you. 4 superintendents, and if I count correctly today, 16 board members have benefited from your wise counsel, but it is the district that has benefited the most. You have a keen understanding of the role that a board member plays. You never let yourself become distracted by the shiny object or the loud voice or the new thing. You stayed the course, you did what you knew was right and true for the best of this district. And for that, you're all very grateful. It was a great pleasure to serve with you for 10 years. You taught me a lot. I learned great many things, mostly patience, and never learned to stay quiet. You can still work on that one. I would commend all the board members to learn from Mr. Simmons the years that they had with him. Thank you very much for all your efforts. Enjoy your Monday nights with your family.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we are going to officially recognize Mr. John Simmons. So, John, I will certainly echo a lot of what Ms. Christine Marks has just said. I mean, we have benefited from your presence here greatly. Certainly, I have over the past 4 years. But your amazing contributions over the last 2 years with the Finance Committee and just sharing your institutional knowledge with us, and sometimes you would sprinkle us with it, or sometimes you would hit us over the head with it, and we appreciate both of those. We know that we can always come to you for a very fair and honest conversation or discussion about whatever it is that we have going on, and so we absolutely appreciate that. I think the district and our community appreciates your service. I mean, this is not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination, but I appreciate the fact that we have been able to go behind closed doors and have very tough conversations, but we can still laugh about your iced tea that you drink religiously every single board meeting. And you will find a very special gift in that bag that I hope will, and I think you might know what that is, that we hope when you pull them out and you use them, you will think about our long sessions in the executive boardroom. So thank you very much. We will miss you tremendously. This is, you and your kids will obviously always be a part of it. Scott, could we do a picture of Merle and John together?
Sure.
Yes.
Dry erase marker.
Scented.
Inside joke.
Thank you.
So for the public in on our inside joke, so we always knew when John was really getting serious because he would grab the dry erase markers and starting to do something on the board. So we had to get him some scented markers to send him away. We'd always be able to turn them for everybody.
That's okay. That's a little bit. Maybe we'll grab a few initial.
Because Scott's is not.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great.
So we can get both John and Merle around. Okay, so we are going to move into executive session now. And that's when I said we're going to move the agenda items around just slightly. So I need a motion, please, to move into executive session to discuss matters relating to personnel, 5 ILCS 120. Need a second, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. So we will be in exec session for maybe about 30 minutes. Back to order, the time is 8:59. Roll call, please.
Paredes.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Briggs.
Here.
Blackman. Here. Simmons.
Still present.
Huckabee. Here. Warren.
Here, and we are all here and accounted for. Thank you, John. Okay, so we are going to pick up. We have a few items. I need a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda as presented, which includes approval of minutes for executive session meeting March 11, 2019, executive session meeting April 8, 2019, and regular Board of Ed meeting on April 8, 2019.
So.
Need a second? Second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Nelson.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Huckabee. Yes. Simmons.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Paredes.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes, and the motion has passed. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the bid from HEPA for asbestos abatement at Normandy Villa at a cost of $27,800?
So.
Second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Blackman.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Huckabee. Yes. Paredes.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes, and the motion has passed. Can I have a motion to approve the personnel report as presented? Second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Simmons.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Huckabee. Yes. Nelson.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Paredes.
Yes.
Warren.
And the motion has passed. Great, okay. Next item, excuse me, on the agenda, resolution declaring results of the election. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the resolution declaring the results of the April 2nd, 2019 election as presented?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
The floor is closed. Roll call, please.
Huckabee. Yes. Nelson.
Yes.
Simmons.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Paredes.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Warren.
Yes, and the motion has passed. Next item, superintendent's report.
Sure. So we certainly know that spring is here, if you haven't noticed. Despite the snow this weekend and sleet, could not be deterred. Downtown Baltimore, we had our baseball parade, and it was great to see so many 161 students out and about, happy and excited to be with their colleagues, to be with their friends, to be with their families outside. It was also great to see Ashley and Hayden Marty and Lisa Delaco participate in throwing out the first pitch. None of them embarrassed themselves. I thought, nice, strong arm. Yeah, Ashley's.
Was better.
Go ahead and ask her.
Was better.
But certainly, it's a busy week, and that'll be the same template through the end of the year. It is that time. Tomorrow we are conducting round 2 of our interviews for the Serene Hills principal position, and the team will have recommendations for the board at the May 13th meeting. May 1st will be the first day of residency verification for the 2019-2020 registration process, and I really just want to thank all those staff members who are going to be working evenings over the next several weeks just so we can accommodate our parents. May 1st is also the Family Reading Night at Heather Hill School, and that's important because we kicked off One District, One Book at all of our schools today. The elementary schools are reading The Cricket in Times Square, and at Parker, they're reading Because of Mr. Interrupt. So thank you to all of our reading specialists, our media center staff, instructional coaches, teachers, and administrators for putting together the projects, the questions, the different activities. Every time I have a chance to read to kids, they really enjoy it, and certainly the One Book, One District, that goes over very well. And finally, we have a date for our end of the school year party, and that will be held on Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m. at Parker. Now, we do have a board meeting scheduled that day, but we're going to move the time of the meeting up to 5 o'clock. Should just be a regular board meeting with a few action items, and then we'll be able to get together with the community to celebrate the end of school. The District 161 Executive PTO Board is off and running with this activity, so Mary Murray and her team have been great to work with, and we're really looking forward to ending this school year on a positive note. Once we have some more details, we'll make sure that we put them out, letters, social media, etc., so that we get as many families out as possible. That's it on my report.
Any questions or comments? Okay, well, we have come to the end of the year. Mr. Simmons, Ms. Huckabee, I'm getting ready to adjourn the meeting. I just want to thank you all, thank you both again for your service to the community, to our students, to our teachers, and to us. And please do not be a stranger at our meetings. We have fun, we laugh. John, you got to bring those markers in. So thank you both very, very much. I need a motion to adjourn, please. So, in a second.
Second. Sorry, was my mic on?
Amy, please take them home. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Meeting is adjourned at 9:05. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We know where to find you.
Take care. Good luck.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, everyone, welcome to the next board meeting this evening. It is now 7 and the meeting is called to order. Nelson?
Present.
Lanier? Briggs?
Here.
Blackman? Here. Paredes?
Here.
Warren?
Here.
Leestra? Here.
Mitchell and Harris, please come out. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think right on.
You do not add extra stuff. Stick to the script.
Next on the agenda, we have swearing in of the new board members by Vice President Steve Curtis.
Thank you very much. Welcome, new school board members. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Welcome, new school board members, and congratulations. Each school board member, before taking his or her seat on the board, shall take the following oath of office. When I say name, you say I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of office of members of the Board of Education of Flossmoor School District 161 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
Further swear.
I do.
Fantastic. I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as faithful protectors of school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. I shall abide by majority decisions of the board, and while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels. As part of the Board of Education, I shall accept the responsibility for my role in the equitable and quality education of every student in the school district. I shall foster extensive community participation, formulate goals, define outcomes, and set the course for Flossmoor School District 161. I shall assist in establishing a structure and an environment designed to ensure all students have the opportunity to attain their maximum potential through a sound organizational framework. I shall strive to ensure a continuous assessment of students' achievement and all conditions affecting the education of our children in compliance with state law. I shall work together with the district superintendent to lead the school district toward fulfilling the vision of the board has created, fostering excellence for every student in the areas of academic skills, knowledge, citizenship, and personal development. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Show the face.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to appoint Dr. Smith as the President Pro Tem to preside over the board election of the board president.
Second.
So moved. Give a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And with that motion, it's passed.
Great. Thank you, but always one. So I am only presiding over the initial election, so are there any nominations for the office of president?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Michelle Moore.
I'd like to second that nomination.
Are there other nominations for the office of president? Hearing that there are none, I am happy to declare, let's do a vote. Oh, I could just declare. This is a great part. Courtney, if you could please have a roll call vote for Michelle Ford as president.
Paredes?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Lanier?
Yes.
Leestra? Yes. Ford?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Congratulations. I'm happy to adjourn the mantle of the team.
It's really short. Okay, well, we will now open the floor and accept nominations for vice president.
I would like to nominate Carolyn Briggs for vice president.
May I have a second, please? Anybody else?
Yes. I'd like to nominate Christina for vice president.
Okay.
Second.
Anybody else?
Yes.
So I need to do a roll call, Courtney. First will be for the election of Dr. Carolyn Briggs as vice president. Roll call, please.
Nelson?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Leestra?
No.
Lanier?
No.
Briggs?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes. Okay. Okay. And, okay. Now Courtney, can we please do a roll call for the election of Christina as vice president?
Blackman?
No.
Nelson?
No.
Leestra?
Yes.
Paredes?
No.
Briggs?
No.
Lanier?
Yes.
Ford?
No. And the motion has passed to elect Dr. Carolyn Briggs as vice president. We now need a motion to elect for the secretary position. I'd like to nominate Misha Blackman as secretary. Second. Anyone else?
I'd like to nominate Christina as the secretary.
Okay.
Second.
Courtney, I'd like to do a roll call, please, on the nomination for Misha Blackman as secretary.
Lanier?
Misha, no.
Briggs?
Yes.
Leestra?
No.
Nelson?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Paredes?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes. Now, roll call, please, on the nomination for Christina as secretary.
Leestra?
Yes.
Nelson?
No.
Lanier?
Yes.
Blackman?
No.
Paredes?
No.
Briggs?
No.
Ford?
No, and the motion has passed to elect Misha Blackman as the secretary for the Board of Ed. So, we can rearrange seating.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll order our name plates and then we'll have those for everybody.
Yeah.
No information.
Okay. Okay, so, establishing. Okay. I need a motion, please, to approve the Board of Ed meeting dates as presented. Need a second, please?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
These are our meeting dates through the end of June. Later on in the meeting tonight, we'll discuss our initial set of dates for 1920 and then we can make any adjustments from that.
Roll call, please.
Briggs,
Yes?
Lanier,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Blackman. Paredes.
Yes.
Sistrum. Yes. Ford.
Yes, and the motion has passed. That ends our action items for the items that were raised. So the next are a series of, discussion items. For our new board members, first of all, welcome. We are very excited to have you over here. And you've been to enough meetings to know that, what happens at any of the poll, and so we have a lot of discussion items. There will be items that sometimes people actually feel like discussing, and then sometimes there might be items on the list where people actually don't feel like further discussion is needed. So by all means, ask away if there's something. So the first item on the list are committee reports from the Equity and Inclusion Committee.
Oh, yeah, that's me. We are continuing to work with students at Parker on revising our handbook. And from an equity lens, we're looking together to put together a public viewing of the show America to Me, and Belle and I are actually getting some time slated to work on that tomorrow and try to have just a wider conversation about equity and just what that looks like in our schools, and then also how that will inform our strategic planning process. So expect a lot more of this conversation with Lex in the next 2 to 3 months as we prepare for the planning process to pick up in the fall.
So, for the purposes of everyone on the board who does not normally participate in this, can you let us know whether you are anticipating doing the documentary before the school year ends?
Yeah, we're looking at the 3rd.
23rd.
Yeah, the 23rd.
The 23rd. And I can't remember if we decided the library, we're going to do it.
That's what
the library.
we're trying.
If it was not the library, we would do it here.
Yeah, either here or.
Okay. And then where are we in the process of the review of the handbooks?
So we're still working with students. We'll have our draft by probably.
I think we can bring back the
Beginning of June.
revisions of the students at the next meeting date, and by the end of the school year, we should have the final revisions.
There are other larger pieces that have to be changed in those handbooks. So we'd like to bring it all as one package, but certainly the equity pieces of the student input, we'll have it for our next meeting.
Any other questions about the equity committee report? Long-range construction plan.
So, get to the point of our plan. As you know, we have contracted with Bold Architects to work with us, especially in the area of long-range construction plan. We want to make sure that we are taking all of the steps necessary to bring good recommendations to the Board of Education. Mike is here from Bold. If you remember, our initial conversation about shifting our calendar was so that we could create a larger pocket of time in the summer of 2020 to get some construction done. One of the commitments that we made at that time was to seek input from a wide variety of groups to make sure that the recommendations that come back to the board are representative of where we want to go. So Mike's just going to talk to us a little bit about that process, what it looks like, who we'll talk to, and kind of the timeline.
Board for finding goals for your community and helping you with your long-range plan for your year, and also part of your family. So long-range plan, and clearly environments affect the way students learn, the way they feel, the way they feel safe, the way they feel loved. So we feel that shaping that and preparing the space is important. So the goal of a long-range plan, and we're talking about construction and change. And so we want to always build, really the process is about building some consensus on needs and prioritizing. It's not always easy to gain consensus with a large group of people. But that's really the process that we facilitate. And the ultimate goal is to align your facilities with your strategic plan and how you want to deliver education now and in the future, and really provide that best environment for students. So really where that starts is to think about who are your stakeholders, who would be most vested in it, who would have the most interest in assisting, what visionary who can think a little bit outside the box. They have a good pulse on your needs on your community. So the process really starts now, to some extent, with some of the initial discussions, which really have kickoff in the fall. So during May and June, we would have discussion with the administration about who we might tap into. They would really address these people that are in your community. And then over the summer, we'll would start to collect data about your demographics, about the previous surveys, about the buildings, and kind of get the data, the foundation. In fall, we would do a kickoff. And really, we start by bringing the committee up to speed on what we want. So the long-range planning committee is that group of stakeholders. They're the ones that are making the recommendations to the board, they're the decision makers. And they're a group that take in data from other sources, so other subcommittees, others, the school leadership committee, school board there. And again, we'll help facilitate all of the interviews, all the data. So once they meet, once they kick off, the committee gets really brought up to speed, kind of snapshot of the and they will begin to develop a series of guiding principles. So what are the needs? What are the priorities? And there'll be a series of vision sessions. We can bring in the community as much as we want. It can be workshops, town halls. They can be, come many, come all, or they can be select, you can dial it up or down. So the end of the process, we really have a roadmap. So the recommendation of the committee to the board. These are our guiding principles. For example, we might come up with a statement like, we believe that all students shall have access to collaborative and safe environments across the school district. That might be an example. And then like a design criteria would be, we need to structure the space or renovate the spaces to allow for classroom 100% technology, spaces for choice of teachers to teach outside the classroom, environments for students that are engaged, colorful, healthy. Those are just examples, and then without having a discussion. So that document is brought forward to the board, and it's very clear now. So the first year we're recommending to do this, second year to do this, and after 5 years we're going to accomplish that. And it's going to cost X dollars or this dollar, and you'll have that roadmap for all the thing. And you'll have that consensus as a baseline, priorities, so everyone's clear exactly why we're doing it, and where we're going. That's the document that you'll have, and you'll enact that, and you're going to take on those recommendations. And then every year we'll look at that. It's a living document that it might change from year to year. Projects or different funds or come in. So that's kind of where we're at. In a nutshell, we can dive as deep as you want us to dive, or we can kind of be more broad. And I think that's, we'll have those discussions over the next few months here. But we really need, Dr. Smith, I guess, really asking us today to really not act on anything, but questions.
Yeah, just want to make sure that we're clear about the process and we can support it moving forward, because really, as Mike said, we'll dovetail with all our strategic planning work. It is absolutely aligned with our portrait of graduate work that we're doing, and so we would have this in the fall, and then we'll move forward.
So who typically, or who do you envision being part of the committee or planning committee?
Well, the planning committee would be made up of your cabinet, for sure. Probably two board members. Would be made up of, serious parents that are actively involved. The total group is maybe 20, 30 people. A lot of the principals in your school, probably a group of teachers that are really excited, looking to want to be involved. They have ideas, maybe they're already doing things in their classrooms that are really able to transform the space. Some spaces are flexible and encouraging students to engage. Community members, it could be a local organization, not-for-profits, involved anybody that might engage with the school that might go less than years. And again, you know more than I would be able to do, so it's really good.
I just want to make sure that communities can get planning fatigue.
Right.
So since we will be embarking on our strategic plan, we just want to make sure we just don't exhaust, our community in the planning of plans. Right? And I'm an urban planner, so I know we like to plan, so.
I think the idea is to get really people energized, to get them excited, and be strategic about doing that, not every week, but every month, not strategically placing things throughout the month. You have to important people that are the research and the data gathering, but you do outreach, maybe kind of kick off session, town halls that are more like energized. They really want to know, and that's
And the process of your engagement meetings, I'm just curious of what your process is. Is it interactive with the community or with people that are, come out to these town halls? Or is it more you guys sort of talking about big ideas and getting feedback? I mean, I've done both. I think the interactive ones do get people jazzed up because it's the more tangible things that you can touch when you are actually meeting. So what's your process?
Well, I think initially you want to get everyone talking the same language, so there will be kind of what's going on, trends in education, local point of view, national point of view, kind of get people, what does that look like, what does 20% of your classrooms look like, what does the school of the future look like, what are people talking about, kind of snapshot, and then you can kind of dive into kind of hands-on. It could be first some tabletop session. I mean, you might ask, what will students look like? They're 20 years old, they learning. What are the values of the community? Kind of some generic questions, overarching questions. And then when you get into what does it actually look like when they design space, like grades, students engaged, we'll do this, kindergarten through 8th grade, and they will all come up with some wild ideas. So there's that level. Maybe we want to invite the public. It's depending on the size of the facility that you're looking on. But it could be actually starting something in a small group. It could be. I think certainly, physical engagement is important. They don't want to talk for 20 minutes or a half hour.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is a very large scope of work to be completed in a very, really, let's be honest, a short period of time. I mean, and I know it's very early to say, but could that be something like this be accomplished in that short of time? Oh, like, yes, so the air conditioning at both the schools and the 3 steam labs.
Were you referring to that one list for
It
next
says
summer?
complete several potential projects including the installation, yes.
Yeah, for next summer, we have the 2 buildings that require the air conditioning.
Correct.
And then the those would be done next summer.
Those are probably the easiest.
Yeah.
And those are straightforward. I think the harder decisions that the board will have to wrestle with is what type of learning experiences do we envision for our children in 2023? And what are we going to put in place now so that when we get there, we've either stepped up to that or are going to stand pat. Whatever we're going to do, the HVAC and the steam labs, those are fairly simple complexity.
Yeah. I think there's kind of 2 things. One is more facility needs, like infrastructural needs, and those we have a list started already about what needs to be done to keep the buildings safe, warm, and dry. But this long-range plan is more about how can the facility be transformed in order to align with the future.
Another easy one is knocking down the wall.
Oh, sorry, now.
Oh, did you?
To Parker. Sure, give a quick do.
Well, we did go out there last Wednesday, I believe. Scott, Jennifer, just we did observe, potential student involvement, passing periods. We have a lot of students that go through there. Cafeteria is at capacity. But it's very well organized. I mean, the principal and the staff are really getting down to the science about how to shepherd the students into the room, how to guide them as groups line up, and then guide them individually into certain areas, so they're well organized. I didn't see any crowding in the corridors. Everybody is very supervised. Even inside the serving area, they get a maximum of a dozen kids at the most. They're brought out, brought in. So there are not any walls down. I don't think it's necessary. Unless we kind of look at the whole landscape in that area. So is that something that could come up?
Yeah, well, so, I mean, I think our challenge is that lunch is how long? How long is lunch? 2020, I mean, and so I haven't been there this year, but I know that actually many times I was there last year, the amount of time that students actually have left to eat is like a matter of minutes, because so much of that time seems like it was sitting and waiting for their turn to go through this one way in, one way out kitchen to get their food. And so how can we make that space more efficient that actually allows students to come in two different directions, so that, you know, students aren't waiting for 15 minutes before they can get up and get food, and they have 5 minutes to work. I mean, so 20 minutes is not a lot of time anyway, but how can we make that time more efficient?
So, I know this has been a pet peeve of yours for you, and I agree with you. The lunchroom is dated. But are we, I don't want to rush the projects because we want to make the best decision here. And my personal opinion, having looked at a number of schools, we need to. But, so that's the decision you're going to have to resolve that conflict, like we fix it quickly, or can you bring in something a little more ambitious? Because that space as a whole, if we were building a new school today, we would never make it. And from the spaces I've seen, the schools that have a dedicated cafeteria / auditorium / multi-use room, and then the gym is separate, they seem to function a lot better. But I think for the summer, like, I mean, I think we all agree that the cafeteria is crowded. There's a quick fix there, sure. But I would love to see out of the process in the 10-year plan for all of our buildings, not just Parker. What is your vision for the school as a whole? Even if it takes 20 years to 30 years to build all of that, right? What is the vision for all the buildings? And my personal preference is that Parker, we need them.
If I could just interject, I think it'd also be nice to see what we can do now, and what are some different options as we start moving to a longer-term vision, as Mr. Nelson has described.
And will the recommendations also include this building?
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
component of the educational environment and offices and support spaces. So the medicine building looks at all your assets. Studying assets is important. We're going to add on in the future. We're going to range. I mean, I think that's all part of what we look at. Limits per se, and that's really a chance to come to a discussion to some extent. Not too much, but enough to get some good results. And I think it is good to look beyond, what happened next year, but how you plan for the future, sure, not undoing what you just did. There's some fix, and certainly building safe. Yeah, like I said, I did that initial visit. It's a major concern, but certainly it's, you're right, that cost of.
Question. So, I don't know if this falls under your long-term planning and design, but if we were to actually find that we could actually save money by having, let's say, snow plow removal and landscaping stuff, you know, kind of housed on a site, would this be the individual who would look at that, determine whether or not that's a cost savings for us on a large-term budget scale?
Well, I think Fran would determine the savings. He would help us figure out location and those pieces.
Okay. Is that something that they're looking at, or we have to talk to them?
I think everything is on the table at this point. And I think a lot of the ideas that we have, for example, housing and all that, there's some history behind that. And so through the process, we could talk about how the neighbors responded. We had a conversation originally and how we may want to either go about it differently or attack the problem differently. So I think everything is on the table. It's just, you know, who's going to best provide that information. So I think we put everything out there.
I'm not used to seeing that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
Thank you.
Technology infrastructure upgrades.
Item number 2.
I'm pretty cheap with me because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Tonight I'm bringing a proposal for a wireless infrastructure upgrade. Back in March, the rate window was open, so I went and initially just did a filing with the rate for bids and received 3 bids for the wireless project. And that's the thing, I did about $246,000 for the whole project. And E-rate is going to cover 60%, which is roughly about $148,000 of that project, so the district going to only $98,000. The reason I'm bringing this to you right now is because at the end of 2019, our current wireless infrastructure and controller and software is going to be hitting an end of life cycle. So what that means with the end of life cycle is the vendor's not going to support software patches or any hardware. If it fails, we're kind of in limbo and we're having to patch up ourselves. So I'd rather be 2 steps ahead now, just wait till then. And also too, with E-rates, things fluctuate with priority to file. Some years it could cover wireless infrastructure, network infrastructure, different types of equipment. So I just don't want to lose out on this round. If next year they cover something else, and if we have to upgrade, we'll have to incur that $246,000 out of pocket within the district.
Just as another piece of scope here, this is a highly regulated process. If you have your real phone, if you look at your phone bill, you know, there's a charge, you know, by USAC, and, you know, universal, blah, 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 blah. It is, as I mentioned, highly regulated. We have to list the type of work that we would want to do, and then people can bid from all over the country on the scope of that project. I've accessed this program to leverage funds to make really high quality tech improvements in the past and in previous lives. And I know Tony really does do a good job of taking advantage of this offer.
So it's just going on to the board for, like the should continue the final process to get committed funds or.
So what's the timeline that you would be doing this next fall, or is this?
Over the summer. Yes.
And so, you know, it's a cost of $98,000 to the district. I'm always happy to have it, you know, take money back from the federal government that's taken from all of us. But with the rollout of 5G, and are we really going to need in-building wiring?
With our endpoint devices, Chromebooks, devices here, everything's going to hit the wireless. It's internal Wi-Fi. It's not external Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And I just wish it want that, you know, you were asking this question 2 years from now and better assess whether it really is spending your grant.
Yeah, because right now, currently, the 5G is coming out and everything, but it's not going to be regulated for at least another 3 to 4 years to catch up with everything with devices and just, endpoint, itself, just like right now, with different types of AC, and there's different types of spectrums right now, so we're kind of slowly bringing everything up right now.
Do we have any current problems, challenges, dead spots, or performance issues?
No, every single classroom right now has an access point there, so, because when I first started, everything was in the hallway, so one of my first initiatives was move everything into a classroom, so each classroom has its own access points now.
And the new system is going to be the same?
The same, yeah, it's just gonna be up to date, it's gonna be a cloud-based and on-premise controller. So with software updates, it's gonna get right from the cloud, so if there's any security patches that needs to be out, the manufacturer will just send us the update right in the cloud and push it out to our controllers. So currently right now, we manage all that, so we have to go through and check the logs, make sure and patch everything ourselves because it's on-premise right now. So right now, it's a mixture of like a hybrid system.
What did you say?
So currently, even though the system's gonna go obsolete in 19, or contract's gonna expire in 19.
It's not the system's gonna obsolete or anything like that, it's just vendor support, because the system's unfortunately 9 years old now.
Right.
It's no technology. You buy something, by the 2 weeks later, it's pretty much.
We could probably run the system for a couple of years and cross our fingers.
We can't do that, but, I don't want to list that because you have the potential if the software,
Well, more importantly, that's the security.
yeah, the security flaw, it's going to be vulnerable, because if the vendor side, they give you any patches, then you're going to have loopholes there, and, there's a couple of sites out there that, they have hackers all over that just go and ping devices all over to see vulnerability, loopholes and everything. If that's open, that's your weak point right there. And once they get in, they can compromise everything else.
But the reason I asked that question is I agree with what Ken was saying, but because this is a federal situation, we're asking for it, there's no guarantee we get it, correct?
No, this is committed.
This is committed.
Yeah, I just have to do the initial final steps to get.
They tell you ahead of time what you can access, and then you determine whether or not you want to do it.
So these numbers are hard numbers based.
Yeah, there's 3 bits of this one is those that met our criteria.
We'll bring it back to our action.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Well, you realize the only time you ever talk to us is when you're asking us for money.
I'm also saving.
It's true.
And
Just to clarify, if it was come up.
We're going to bring you back to more information.
non-big summer projects.
Okay, we talked about, months ago, February, what kind of summer bid or summer projects we had. In the meantime, Scott's gone out and got quotes. So what we're looking at is seal coating at, the hills, Summer Hills, Heather Hill, and Serene Hills. Blackout seal coating, was the lowest. We're recommending a porch ban. Lunch table repairs unfortunately came back a little more expensive than we had originally anticipated, but a lot of the tops seem to be wearing and they need to be replaced. Then the quote for the vertical blinds was also the same contractor that we've been using, Western Avenue, is the last building to be done. So we're recommending going with 4.0. We did some estimates for the painting of the lockers in the 6th grade wing. We got quotes on Mammon and Joseph Nicholas, and Mammon came in low. We are still looking at the prices for the clocks and the Parker Junior High gym floor, because the clocks are not exactly what we want to do with them. And then the floor mitigation, so once we have the asbestos up, we need to replace the floor once it's been mitigated. And the low quote came from Mammon Corp again, compared to Joseph Nichols. So the total price for all of those summer work projects will be about $112,000. So we'll bring those back for approval.
I did the same nitpicky, but I remember growing up, clocks in my school building never worked. I go to federal court pretty much every week, and the clocks there don't work. I actually saw someone get sentenced for taking clocks on it. But anyways, why do we care? Why do we spend $10,000 on clocks? I mean, you know,
Well-
the kids all have cell phones, the teachers know what time it is, I mean,
But therein lies the problem, right? So you can't have your cell phone out during school, which they still do.
yeah.
It becomes a quality of life issue. If you have 3 minutes to get from point A to point B, if you can't accurately identify what time it is, it's hard to do that. It's hard to meet the expectations of the teachers, and I know a lot of kids, it's really important to them. So you could give the impression that, oh, I don't care if I'm late to class or not, when in actuality, I have my 3 minutes, I hang on my locker, I lose track of 45 seconds, and now I'm late. So, yeah, I think I hear what you're saying, but it becomes a quality of life issue, and it drives me personally bonkers.
I think that, yeah, I think that you're agreeing with you.
Is there a clock in place? Part of my comment was that I don't think I've ever seen one more. A building-wide and government, right? I mean, I can't even name one.
But they're the old systems, like ours are, which are daisy chained from one room to the next, so the second one is out, the rest of them are done.
These are wireless.
So this will be wireless.
Breakers, on how long it takes for them to break.
Well, and that's why Tony has to put it in the new network.
It's all complicated. I think that also, not to belabor this, that if we really want to teach our kids time management skills, we have to have the time on it. And so,
And a face clock at that.
yes, you know, one of the, what I taught anecdotally, summer school at HF, you know, one parent thought I was really, you know, being nitpicky when I was putting the exact time that their kid showed up to summer school, to the detriment of, you know, a student, but they were late, you know, which is in the contract that if you're late more than 3 times, you're out. And, you know, in the end, it turned out the parent was just not bringing them to school on time. But that the having the exact time where we're all agreed on it just solves a lot of
Quick question. The $112,060, is that part of the existing budget?
Not this year's budget, it's part of 19 budget.
And are any of these items in here items that we're going to revisit on an annual basis?
We always have to take a look at the lunch tables and benches, because of the kind of, that we're working into the wall, they tend to take a beating going up and down every single day. So that's kind of a recurring expense. Seal coating, we look at 2-year cycles, so we have to restrict, and then the other half next year, so yes, those are continuous. And you'll continue to see the floors, like parking your gym floors, always have to be redone. So yeah, you'll see a lot of these kinds of maintenance things are you'll see them recurring over the summer.
Thank you.
Any other questions for her? Transportation update?
Okay, I promise you a transportation update. Please note the school buses. I took great pride in buying a school bus. Okay, right now our biggest transportation obviously is Page. We have paired routes. What that means is that the buses start with our trips into Parker, and then they leave Parker and they're paired with an elementary route. So you have 18 Parker routes, and then they go out and do 4 for Flossmoor Hills, 4 for Heather Hill, 3 for Serena, and 7 for Western. Okay? My math is right, I should have told 18. We also then have our 2 mini buses. They have morning, midday, and afternoon routes. They are transporting mostly our pre-K and early childhood students. We are also doing special education transportation. We're doing McKinney Bento, our homeless students. We have band and orchestra that we park from the elementaries up to Parker. We have after-school tutoring that has some busing, Parker Saturday School, of course our field trips, and athletic events. So we've got a lot of transportation going on. So our challenges for this year, as we started going through and working through this year, the timeline between the routes. I brought to you at one point and said, you might be able to save some money when I was just simply looking at capacity of the buses. Started looking into that more carefully and realized it wasn't the capacity of the buses that was the problem. It was a matter of, can we get from Parker to Elementary on time if we were to, fill up those buses more? It would take more time. It wasn't possible to get the elementary schools runs done if we increased the capacity. So that was those problems. We've had issues with drivers. We've had issues with consistency of drivers. We've had issues with quality of drivers in this full employment kind of environment that we're in. Sometimes the drivers that we're getting have been challenging. We're on top of Paige all the time about the drivers just aren't working out. We had some challenges with the bus bulletins for a while. First of all, I still don't think it's very widely known that they even exist with the parents. So we've got a plan for improving that. Additionally, we're having some issue with when do you put out a bulletin? When is it appropriate? How late do they have to be running for you to put out the bulletin? And we're, kind of working through that. Again, it's a timeliness issue. So we're putting out bus bulletins when they were running 10 minutes behind and the drivers were making up the time, and now all of a sudden they're not late anymore and the kids aren't at the bus, and so it's really just, it's timing that's the issue. Also, we ended up having alterations to routes. And on a couple of occasions, we made some alterations to routes because we had new students come in, we had to add some routes, and then the communication never went to the parents to let them know that, by the way, your route time used to be 7:45, now it's going to be 7:55. And of course, the parents are thinking that they're 10 minutes late every day. So we had some of those communication issues. We had issues around here with who calls Paige? Who's authorized to call? So we had multiple people calling in, and of course, poor Paige is getting bombarded with multiple calls from 161, and we recognized pretty early on that that was an issue. Also, any calls to Paige is who actually has the authorization to make a change on a route? Who has that authorization, to talk to them? So here's what we did this year to address some of these. First of all, we now have Traversa on our computers. Traversa is the software that actually tracks the buses. So my staff here is now actually watching the buses as they come out of the barn and they're on their route, so that we're able to really pretty well head where they are, how well the routes are going or not going. We have one voice to Paige. So any changes have to come through the district office now. They can't be made district-wide. We have to know about it. We've now given general guidance on the bus bulletins. We have said 15 minutes or later, that's when a bus bulletin goes out. We don't want to do it any earlier because they've been making up the time and such, just really messing with people. So 15 minutes or later is when those bus bulletins will go out. Additionally, Cook, Illinois recognized that we needed some additional support at Paige. So they moved the gentleman from Kickert over to Paige to be the assistant manager at Paige strictly for us, for 161. So now we have one voice to Paige as well. And we've been working very closely with him trying to get this a little more organized. We additionally have access to PAC reports. I get a copy of those weekly, so they're letting me know what time the bus was supposed to arrive at the school, what time they actually did. So we can start looking at any, as we see consistencies in routes and so on, if there's any real problem in a specific route. So 1920, what can you expect for next year? So next year at classroom pickup days in August, parents are going to get their route assignment, they're going to get what the routes are, what times they're supposed to be there. Along with that, they're going to be getting the information on how to sign up for the bus tour. We're going to try and really bombard them with what it is. We're also going to give them a handbook, some of kind of the general, what to expect, what you should expect, what we expect from you and your students. I'm going to be working with Annabelle and with the other principals for behaviors that we're expecting on the buses, and then also what time do you have to get to the bus stop? If it's going to be late, here's the bus bulletin, sign-ups, those kinds of things. So we're going to kind of put some of that general information out there, make sure everyone gets that on-class assignment pickup day. We're making clear plans for adding new students to existing routes. So at the beginning of the year, if a new student came on board, they were told it was going to take them 72 hours to get on a bus. Well, that seemed kind of ridiculous to us. I mean, if we have the routes going and it is 3 houses away from where our stop is, why can't they get on the bus the next day? So we started implementing, working with the router, working with Paige to make that happen. Additionally, we're going to be scrutinizing each and every route over the summer. Literally, my assistant and I are going to be getting into a car and driving every single route. We've also been working with the routers at Paige because they felt like that we could change up some of those routes to make them a little more efficient. So we're looking at each and every one of those, and the head router at Cook, Illinois is working with us on those. And again, those consistent documented procedures that we're going to do though also in the schools themselves. If you're going on a field trip, here's what you need to do in order to get transportation for it. If you have a student move, here's how you handle the transportation piece. So we want to make sure that we have real, consistent, good documentation. It's been kind of handed down by word of mouth, and we don't have any real good documentation, so we're going to work on that. And so what we've really learned this year is it's all about this. It's communication, communication, communication. You need to have clear communication to parents. You need to have clear communication with Paige. We need to have clear communication with the schools. And that's really what we've been really working hard on this year and plan to continue into next year. And again, it's the timeliness of that information. So we had that morning, just a few weeks back, where we had that crazy ice overnight, and that Monday morning, it was slick as can be. Nobody expected it. Paige called me and said, we are surrounded by bridges, and there are accidents on every single one of those bridges because people were spinning off. We were able then to get that information out to our principals. They knew that there was a really good chance that we were going to have a lot of delays. As it turned out, they were able to make up an awful lot of that time on the road, and vast majority of those buses were actually in on time. But again, it's about conversation. That was the morning. Every single bus had a bus full that came out. Superintendent texted me, he's like, what is going on? I'm like, there's ice, it's bad. So, but, you know, again, it was about the information, about timeliness of it. That's transportation.
So I have a quick question.
Yep.
So then unless something significant happens when you go through the reroutes, then we're pretty much going to stay at our 50% capacity at about 50,000.
They will unless you start taking a look at start times in schools. And what I would like to do is start taking a look at the efficiency of these routes to see if maybe we can pick up a little bit there. And then, as I start getting to know these routes pretty well, we might then want to start having that conversation about start times. What I envision is this is going to be our last year on this contract. What I would like to do is, once I have more information and can really kind of wrap my head around some of this, when we go to bid with alternates. So bid with exactly the way it is now. Bid with what if we were to change up maybe some time so that we have some options that we can think about. Would it even matter? Because I want to go messing with the school's start and end times. It is not going to make a difference anyway. It doesn't make sense, but we want to have that information up front. When we were with Kicker, we actually paired with Bloom Principal. But when we changed the start time for Parker, that made it impossible to pair with Bloom anymore. So we had to go with this kind of structure. Is it still possible? If we were to change, time to go back to, pairing with Bloom, would that save us money in the long run, or wouldn't it? I don't know. But if we bid with alternates, we hopefully would get more information to maybe be able to make some of those better decisions. Okay.
So you could come back to us after the start time with different alternatives that might say that we might be able to possibly share some routes with the Bloom weekend.
Possibly.
And that might help us increase the number of students on the buses. So we actually
Yeah,
run
so-
more efficiently.
That would be the idea. So if you were to change times, that maybe you would be able to get more children on the bus and you have a little more time. Now you're gonna have to start talking about how long do you want a child to sit on the bus?
And just to clarify, District 161 only,
Yes.
not shared.
Correct. Shared, not shared.
Yes.
Yeah. So what you would be looking at is really, would the money that you would be able to save be worth whatever scheduling changes would actually happen? And I don't have the information to say that that would be worth it or not. I don't even know that if we were to change times, if Kicker would even be bidding on the contract anyway. They may have taken on a different school district or something elsewhere that I don't, I'm unaware of at this time. It's been several years since we were with them. It's really kind of, you're dealing with the unknowns, which is why I'd like to get the bid out relatively early next year so we can start looking at some of that information and really delving into it, because if you were starting to look at wanting to change any start and end times, those kinds of things, you would want to be doing that well in advance, because it would have to be one school year. And you want to be, making those plans well.
Right. And the research would say, frankly, the way that we have our school day organized is wrong, fundamentally wrong, especially for our students at heart.
So this could be opportunity then?
Yes, it's certainly an opportunity. I would fear, to Frank's point, it's a more expensive opportunity. Because when you talk about starting, at junior high at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning to line up with, adolescent development, stacking the routes, pairing the routes, all of those different pieces could come into play and negatively affect the bottom line.
And that would affect the end of the day, which is extracurricular.
Yes. But again, if that's, what we have to decide is that lever worth pulling? Is the effect size of that change worth being flexible about the end of the day, or study halls, or student scheduling?
I think that the conversations early on, even 12 years ago, were when Dr. Joy put this forward in a sort of village meeting in Parker, was that if they did change the start times, they would do it because it would accommodate athletes who left the school at the end of the day. They didn't want them to miss those instructional minutes. And that, but that would also squish out the early morning extracurricular, so that kids, the fear was that kids were doing basketball and band, would immediately ditch band for basketball because it would be their own option. If we moved it back, then that would open up the possibility that we could have some sort of club or something like that in the morning. So I mean, it's not, things don't become, mutually exclusive as you shift things around. Sometimes you shift things, just leads to, well, what can we do?
Oh yeah, no, I get the whole download matrix effect, and I agree with you 100% on that. It's just that when I listen to some thinking about it, I also recognize that one of the things that we're also dealing with is that after school, it appears that a lot of the children go to the library. So that's another issue that we're trying to also.
Right, and to that point, historically, because one of the people who worked at the library in their central office across the street from me, so I used to do this all the time, was that the day we changed the start times was the day that suddenly there was more issues at the library, because then there were kids were there at a different hour of the day, and it was just a shift. And so, yes, I mean, whenever you change something, there is a little bit of a domino effect, but I think that we're ahead of it, and we have community involvement, engagement. I think that will sort of help, moving forward. I think these are great conversations to have at this point.
concern, I know that you do because you think similar, but also, let's keep in mind, Baltimore Road, and so that 8:30 start time is also HF. And so then we have traffic patterns in addition to IJP, and so just that whole thing that happens on Baltimore Road that is god awful.
So kind of to piggyback on that, I wonder, have we ever done a survey of parents that use and don't use the bus to get a better understanding of, I'm thinking, is this connected to like pick up and drop off at Parker, at Western, at Baltimore? It's congested at different times, and especially Parker in the morning is kind of a zoo. So I just wondered, have we ever done a survey of, like, we are entitled to bus, but we drive our kids every day. And so there's lots of reasons why we do so. So I just wonder if we really have a full handle on who we anticipate being on the bus. Like if I decide tomorrow I want to, do the bus, I'm going to impact this route. So I wonder, have we ever done a survey? Is it worth doing it just to understand? I know we're at 50%, but would it be helpful for us to understand why we're at 50% and who's actually using our buses, who's not? I'm just sort of curious because I'm wondering why there's so much congestion in drop-off and pickup patterns, but we're spending a lot of money for buses. Why as a family, why don't I put my kid in church? Yeah.
So I want to think about the questions I was asking.
Yeah. I'd like to know why families who have a bus available to them don't use it. And if there's a reason, then we could be more efficient in getting people to school and getting through dropping off and picking up, then let's find out why.
It also varies. I mean, you have some parents who, when it's early fall or in the school year, they choose to walk, bike, or whatever, but in the winter, they choose to actually exercise, actually do a bus.
Yeah.
So it really does ebb and flow. See,
And did we rule out or discuss, for just Parker, since it's 6 through 8, pairing with HF, if that was at the same time that they started? Would there be a conflict, or would it be, logistic problems?
So here's the thing. So when you have a paired route, you're paying for one route.
Right.
If I pair with HF just for Parker, I'm going to pay for half of that route. But I'm still going to pay my own back.
Right.
So there's no cost savings there.
Okay, I was just thinking in terms of, so there's not more traffic, but then of course there would just be those buses as opposed to going through that one viaduct as opposed to also parents who also are going to be traffic in there as well.
So just two really quick, I'm sorry, Rachel. I know we're not talking about discipline tonight, but I like that on one of the slides you talked about passing out something so that parents, like everybody knows what the expectations are. I would be interested in, and for some this will be worth $1 million, some it will not, but I'd be interested in having like parents and students like have to sign something so that they have read it. And I mean, if we can go back to having some sort of document that shows that
Contract.
I've read this. And so, when something happens on the bus, pull out the contract that we all signed, discussed, and agreed. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think that'll be an interesting exercise because I think we have been talking about it for at least the past 4 years. So, as we're thinking about going back out to bid and this contract expires next year, like, what would be the cost if we owned our own fleet? And we did, I know that that's not a quick, but I am interested in what a cost benefit analysis would look like. And, so not tomorrow or next week, but as we plan.
Yeah, just remember, that's part of the skill tomorrow. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, but I would be interested to see whether or not in the long run it actually is more cost effective for us, because, yeah, we haven't, I feel like every time it's time to go out for bid, you know, we've got issue after issue after issue after issue with our buses, and if what I've been hearing, what we've been hearing for years now is one way to deal with this is
It comes with its own separate set of issues, you can bring them right out of the house. If it makes you feel any better, we can put it all of this release company. This is I mean, every business in Illinois now hates transportation. This is the thing. Now, if we could get one thing, never, snap our fingers and just show up, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
so.
To that point, when I'm going back to thinking about the architect, would that be something where we would kind of do that on site, or we would kind of do it off-site?
Depends, I mean, do we have space to have a fleet of buses somewhere? I mean, I don't
I was
know.
like thinking, you can't even get a barn built to house maintenance equipment, how do you get a barn built to house buses? So that's my initial thought on that, so.
Our neighbor behind calls us if we mow during the week. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. He's old.
Nope,
Yeah, I
on the
mean-
weekend, on the weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
On the weekend.
More on the weekends.
Yeah.
Or after 5.
Yeah.
As you say, long term, it also begs the question, should we be consolidating certain services with the chapter 1, 3? When we're talking about things like buses, long-term IT, other services, I'm not really a huge fan of the consolidation hysteria. Go to online version services. Probably consolidating seems to. Agree.
Also just puts us in more control, obviously, of the buses and how they run and our routes and, your question of why are we, I mean, so I think it would be an interesting exercise.
We would also then have to hire drivers, hire mechanics. So there would be a lot that.
It is not a cost savings, it's a quality of life.
So I think if for no other reason, we can have that conversation and decide we don't need to have that conversation again, and that we are okay with continuing down the road that we have been for many years. Okay, any other questions on transportation? Okay, time clock plus.
One bus. So our current time clocks, if you've ever seen them when you walk by here in Normanville, they're well over 20 years old. They're literally the old fashioned, you can take a card and you can punch it in. If the time changes, they have to be manually reset. They're no longer making the parts for these clocks. It's just really a matter of time before they basically stop. We are out in our collective bargaining agreement, it requires that our support staff can clock in and out. This is something that the comptroller's been writing me for a while now, because she's like, when they rain, because they're going to rain, then what are we going to do? So, this system actually integrates with our general ledger system. You can actually digitally clock in. It has geofencing so that you can't clock in from home. You can only clock in when you're actually here. It will still have the principals approve the time, but then it'll be, electronically done, sent up to us, and then we can actually import it straight into the payroll system, so it would minimize any keying errors and those kinds of things into the payroll system. It does have a first year implementation would be about $7,400 for the time clock plus, and then another $6,700 for the Tyler for the payroll system. And then after that, it'd be about $4,200 annually. But again, it's something that we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop on this system, because it's been pretty bad. We don't even have an employee clock in a different building without getting another blank card and a mirror system. So this is our bring up to the 20% century thing for the time box.
Question.
Yeah.
So, is this going to be in the proposed budget, is it past budget, so where is
Proposed
it?
budget, so it'll be, we would implement, we put it in over the summer.
All right, and my other question on this is, does this system provide a comprehensive attendance report?
It does not integrate into the attendance. I believe it has the ability to,
Yes,
that's
it
correct?
It does?
It has
It has the ability, we don't, that's not included in this price, though, correct?
I believe we can with this price.
You think we can,
Yes.
we'd have to look into it, we do attendance in a slightly different manner, so I mean, it is potentially possible, at least for the support staff who would use those.
Does it recognize or calculate overtime?
It doesn't do the calculation, that'll be on my payroll book.
All right.
It'll update the time in, and then we do the payroll.
So the teacher does have overtime?
So this won't be for teachers.
Okay.
This would only be for the support staff, our hourly
Okay.
staff. This is really, we use this, and the reason that it still exists is because Fair Labor Standards actually exists.
Okay.
So we need to pay people for the time that they're when they are hourly.
Okay. And will there be a dedicated account manager for us to talk to with this?
There is it a dedicated one, or is it just for the implementation period, yes, and then after that, there's support that they promise, that you're on hold for no more than 45 seconds or something like that.
Their support's amazing.
Will that be a 24-hour customer support?
I don't think they're 24 hours, but I can find out what their timing is.
All right.
We're not letting them repair or bill language.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the Time Clock Plus? SSBC rep, 2019-2020.
So I have been the SMBC rep, the health insurance cooperative for the last 7 years, and prior to that, I did this for 16 years, and prior to this, I don't think anybody else wants the job, so I'm more than happy to be your authorized rep, but we'll bring that to you for formal approval next time, right?
February and March financial reports.
They have been attached. If you have any questions, I will say this, and you have to solicit some information on the tax.
We don't have.
Yes. We had a very large refund hit at the beginning of February, to the tune of $800,000. Unexpected, no way for us to know that it was even coming, no notification, no anything. That is going to impact your property tax revenues for the year. So we are coming in under, we're coming in under about $700,000, I think right now is the anticipated. I'll have a better handle on it at the end of this month because property taxes will still be rolling in. But anticipate that we don't put our property taxes lower than we had anticipated for the year.
Any questions? Medical insurance rates, 2019-2020.
The co-op met in April 11th. So as you recall, we're coming off of really bad 2 years worth of heavy claims experience. Last year we had increases of over 11%. This year, thankfully, we're seeing it coming back again. So at this point in time, we've approved a 3% rate increase across the board for all plans, HMO, PPO, and HSN. So at least we're back into saying that it's most we did lose one member. They are left to go join another cooperative. Sad to see them go, but they took a lot of heavy claims with them, so that should help also the claim experience.
Any questions? Financial audit engagement.
We have received a proposal from Legacy to do our audit for the fiscal year ending 2019. They have given us a proposal of no increase over last year's level. So we're recommending we continue doing the annual audit.
regarding the audit. Thank you, Brianna. Science curriculum pilots.
Annabelle has the next few, so she'll.
Friends, more than welcome to take it.
Okay.
So our science committee has been meeting for the past few months, and our most recent meeting, we discussed our pilots, Amplify as well as Discovery Ed. Our committee has been very diligent and thoughtful in feedback and really engaging with their students. And ultimately, at our last meeting, our committee decided to make the recommendation that we slow the pilot process down. We eliminated one of the programs, Discovery Ed, really looking at the thoughtful consideration of the connection between the elementary and junior high. We've gotten that right, we feel, with ELA and with math, and really wanting to make sure we get it right with science as well. So the committee would like to take additional time to continue exploring Amplify and possibly look at another option for pilot for the beginning of next school year, the 1920 school year, and then move forward after collecting more feedback and having time to really ensure that the programs are not just meeting elementary needs or meeting junior high needs, really learning the lessons and wanting to make sure that we have unified programs so our students create consistent experiences from elementary to junior high. That being said, also with the introduction of our additional elementary STEAM labs, our committee really wanted to see the first year of that through to make sure that what gaps in science are the STEAM labs going to fill, that the curriculum does not necessarily need to go full scale with understanding that the STEAM labs will also be covering certain business as well.
Are some of the committee members working with the STEM lab or STEAM lab to make sure that they kind of see what might come out in the pilot?
We do have one of our committee members who's currently teaching first grade who will be a STEAM lab teacher.
So what, if anything, can be done for whatever curriculum will be used for science?
Yeah, so we will still have our pilot materials next school year as well as the materials units that we use right now. Our teachers feel like those would be sufficient to keep us going for next school year as we continue to explore Amplify and possibly add an additional program for pilot as well.
Has there been any feedback in terms of just the current pilot, now which I understand, they don't feel that they're quite ready, but do they seem like a major upgrade or a major jump where, they're encouraged by the direction we're going?
Yeah, very encouraged by the quality of the lessons, the essential questions, the materials, the hands-on activities that the students can experience. It really came down to just making sure that the connection between junior high and junior high is very strong, or junior high and elementary school is very strong. We saw that some of our teachers at the junior high level felt that for some of our more advanced students, it wasn't diverse enough. So we're teaching to the middle. And for me personally, that was a very good insight for our team, our committee to see that we wanted something that will reach all of our students and not just one group, because that will come back and resurface later and be something that we'll have to look at.
Sure. And so on the other end of that, and I'm sure I already know the answer, is this going to really prepare them much better for the demands once they get to Homewood Flossmoor or Bloom or Marion or wherever they're going?
Yeah, we feel like it will. We feel like not jumping with something that we have some more questions about will do that even better. We definitely feel like both programs cover the standards. We want to cover them very well. We want the student experiences with science. It's a little different because we really want to make sure that those student experiences are meaningful with the labs and with the hands-on activities, not just from reading about science perspective.
we're gonna be, we can be, how do you plan to manage this effort over the next
Yeah.
year?
That's a great question. We have additional support in the department with our curriculum coordinator who's been involved in this committee process and with our other pilots as well, understands the structure of how we do this. I feel fully confident in our capabilities to be able to continue the work. I don't see, and certainly would not allow, any of us would not allow the work to fall apart or to not continue. We've already talked about making sure that as we try out the next step, next school year, with adding an additional pilot, that she feels confident to be able to lead, still rely on guidance, but is fully capable of facilitating as well.
So does this mean we won't be piloting social studies next year?
We will not be piloting social studies next year. Our ELA curriculums embed the social studies standards, so we feel confident that taking it with science next school year, as well as having the ELA